What happens when untouchable privilege meets an immovable force? This is the story of a collision that shattered everything a young woman thought she knew about power, justice, and herself. But before we dive into how it all unraveled, let me paint you a picture that will make your blood boil and then completely flip everything you think you know about right and wrong. Imagine walking into a courtroom and seeing someone treat it like their personal stage. Picture a 20-year-old woman strutting through those heavy doors wearing designer everything, sunglasses still perched on her head despite being indoors, carrying herself like she owns not just the room but everyone in it. This isn't confidence we're looking at. This is something far more dangerous. This is someone who has never been told no in their entire life. And today that streak is about to end in the most spectacular way possible. But here's what's going to blow your mind about this story. The judge she's about to face isn't some stern, intimidating figure screaming from the bench. He's something far more terrifying to someone like her. He's someone who cannot be bought, impressed, or intimidated. And when these two forces collide, what happens next will restore your faith in justice while simultaneously breaking your heart for reasons you won't see coming. The woman's name is Emma Richardson, and that last name should sound familiar. Her father sits in the United States Senate, wielding the kind of power that makes phone calls disappear and problems vanish with a signature. Emma has lived her entire life in that shadow, never knowing if people liked her or just needed something from her family. But she's about to discover that in Judge Caprio's courtroom, family names mean absolutely nothing. The charges against her seem almost petty at first glance. Speeding, illegal parking, refusing to cooperate with a police officer. Standard rich kid behavior, right? But as the details emerge, you'll realize we're looking at something much darker. This isn't just about breaking traffic laws. This is about a young woman so disconnected from basic human empathy that she turns someone else's pain into her personal joke. And here's where the story takes its first shocking turn. When Emma is asked to explain her actions, she doesn't apologize. She doesn't show remorse. Instead, she doubles down with an arrogance so breathtaking that even hardened courtroom observers gasp. She actually tries to use her father's political influence as a get-out-of-jail-free card right there in open court with cameras rolling. But Judge Caprio has seen this before, not this exact scenario, but this type of person. The ones who mistake money for morality, influence for innocence. His response is so perfectly calculated, so surgically precise that it cuts through 20 years of entitlement in a single sentence. He tells her something that no one in her privileged bubble has ever dared to say, and her reaction reveals just how fragile her armor of arrogance really is. What happens next will completely change how you think about accountability. Because this judge doesn't just hand down a sentence. He holds up a mirror and forces Emma to see herself through the eyes of someone she wounded without even realizing it. The victim in this case isn't just anyone. It's a mother trying to care for her disabled child, someone who was just trying to live her life with dignity until Emma's selfishness turned an ordinary day into a nightmare. Here's what will really get to you about this story. The mother doesn't want revenge. She doesn't want money. She wants something much more powerful and much harder to give. She wants understanding. She wants this privileged young woman to comprehend what it means to struggle, to fight for every small victory, to love someone so completely that their pain becomes your own. And Emma's reaction when she first hears this request, it's everything wrong with privilege distilled into a single moment of horrifying clarity. She literally cannot comprehend why anyone would want anything other than financial compensation. The idea that she might need to learn something, that she might need to grow as a human being is so foreign to her worldview that she responds with mockery. But Judge Caprio isn't finished. He has one more card to play, and it's going to change everything. He shows Emma footage of her interaction with the mother, her own words coming back to haunt her in the most devastating way possible. And for the first time in her life, Emma Richardson sees herself as others see her, stripped of the protective bubble of wealth and status that has insulated her from consequences. The transformation that follows is nothing short of miraculous, but it doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen easily. Emma has to confront not just what she did, but why she became the kind of person who could do it. She has to examine her relationship with her powerful father, her absent mother, and the hollow existence she's built on other people's fear and respect for her family name. What makes this story truly unforgettable is how it shows us that even the most privileged among us are often the most trapped. Emma's wealth and status haven't given her freedom. They've built her a beautiful prison where she's never learned how to be genuinely human. Her cruelty isn't born from evil, but from a lifetime of emotional neglect dressed up as opportunity. The judge recognizes this. Instead of simply punishing Emma, he gives her something she's never had before, the chance to earn something through her own actions rather than inherit it through her name. He sentences her to community service, but not the kind rich people usually buy their way out of. He sends her to work directly with the people she spent her life looking down on. And here's where the story becomes truly beautiful. When Emma finally meets the mother she wronged face to face outside the protective walls of the courtroom, something extraordinary happens. The woman doesn't scream at her. She doesn't humiliate her. Instead, she offers Emma something more valuable than any inheritance, wisdom earned through real struggle and genuine love. The conversation between them will bring you to tears. This mother, who has every right to hate Emma, instead chooses to see the lost child hiding behind all that arrogance. She tells Emma about her son, about his daily battles, about the strength it takes to keep fighting when the world seems determined to make everything harder. And for the first time in her life, Emma truly listens. But the most powerful moment comes when Emma's father finally appears in court, ready to use his political muscle to make this whole embarrassing situation disappear. What happens when he comes face to face with Judge Caprio is a masterclass in how real power works versus how people think it works. The senator expects deference, accommodation, maybe even a little fear. What he gets instead is a lesson in civic duty that cuts him down to size in front of his own daughter. The confrontation between Emma and her father in that courtroom will give you chills. For 20 years, she's been his perfect political prop, the pretty daughter who smiles on command and never causes problems. But standing there in front of Judge Caprio, Emma finally finds her voice. She tells her father things that needed to be said years ago. Truths about their relationship that money and power can't buy or bury. And Senator Richardson's response reveals everything you need to know about how Emma became the person she was. Even in this moment of crisis, he can't see his daughter as a human being. He sees her as a problem to be solved, a liability to be managed. The love Emma has been desperately seeking her entire life simply isn't there. And watching her realize this in real time is both heartbreaking and liberating. The judge watches all of this unfold with the patience of someone who has seen the same pattern play out countless times. Powerful parents creating damaged children, then wondering why their offspring turn out empty and cruel. His final words to both Emma and her father will stay with you long after this story ends, because they cut straight to the heart of what real strength looks like. The ending of this story isn't what you expect. There's no dramatic courtroom speech, no moment where everyone breaks into applause. Instead, there's something much more valuable, genuine transformation. Emma doesn't leave that courtroom as a different person because someone told her to change. She leaves as someone who has finally learned what it means to choose kindness over cruelty, understanding over judgment. The last scene, where Emma quietly helps an elderly woman open a door, might seem insignificant, but it represents everything she's learned. This small act of service, noticed by no cameras and earning her no praise, is worth more than every privilege she was born with. It's the first thing she's ever done purely because it was right, not because it served her image or pleased her father. This story will change how you think about privilege, justice, and the possibility of redemption. It shows us that sometimes the people who seem the most powerful are actually the most powerless, trapped by expectations and inheritance that have nothing to do with their worth as human beings. But it also proves that no one is beyond saving, as long as they're willing to look honestly at who they've become and choose to be better. Judge Caprio didn't just close a case that day, he opened a conscience. And Emma Richardson didn't just avoid jail time. She found something far more valuable: herself. In a world where money talks and influence rules, this is a reminder that the most important conversations happen when all of that noise finally stops, and we're left with nothing but the truth of who we really are underneath all the pretense and protection. The real power of this story lies not in the dramatic moments, but in the quiet ones. The moment Emma truly heard another person's pain. The moment she chose accountability over avoidance. The moment she realized that the name Richardson could either be a burden to carry or a legacy to transform. She chose transformation, and in doing so, she gave us all permission to believe that change is possible, even for those who seem completely lost to privilege and pride.